welcome to your Saturday afternoon. It's already afternoon. And we have that time change too. Does that happen today or is that tomorrow? I think it's usually on the Sunday, right? This is always always ready to mess up the church folks, you know what I mean? So God bless the church folks for taking the brunt of that one, right? Versus Monday morning when you're like, did we set the clocks back? Anyway. So hopefully everyone had a swell Halloween. And if you're continuing celebrating that this weekend, good for you. I celebrated a bit last weekend. And then, of course, there were trick-or-treaters in the neighborhood the other day. So I've had just about my fill of Halloween celebrations so far. Although I never did get over to that Spirit Halloween store for all the sale stuff. Because you guys know I got my one deck here 50% off that the day after Halloween. I almost said Christmas, you guys. I did see someplace they were already putting out the Christmas decorations, right? So let's see what we have today. Get this message going for you guys. I think I am going to do some animal oracles today. Maybe even from the big deck. See what we have. So, start out. Start me up. Da-na-na, 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 da-na-na. Start me up. Start me up on Nil Sky. Start me up. Start me up on never stop, never stop, never, never, never. Bison, abundance. I spoke a lot about abundance the last few readings. Sacred buffalo, cloak me in your wisdom. Keep me warm through the storms of life. Fill my life with goodness. Teach me the way of gratitude and prayer. Hear that? Prayer for all those, supposed Christians that like to get on my channel and say I need to repent and everything. Pray about it, okay? Don't come on my channel and be mean to people. Okay, that's what we're trying to accomplish here. All right, that's why some folks get away from organized religion because they feel, picked on and bullied, okay? Like other areas of life, you know what I mean? And that ain't fun, okay? Raccoon, inventor. Those raccoons, they always sing, they've got their little mask on like they're up to something, right? Do you ever see that show Grizzly Adams and the raccoon? He would wash his food in the stream. Very smart animals as well. Decide on what you really want. You have the ingenuity to claim it. Avoid being the trickster and practice integrity. You have many roles and can juggle them well. Yeah, some folks out there, they choose that trickster spirit, right? It's like, the whole trick or treat thing. It's like they would try and trick somebody like all the time just to do it. You know what I mean? Just to try and one up somebody. And after a while that gets kind of old, doesn't it? It's like, okay, yeah. And it's like, do you want me to try and trick you? Because I probably can, but I just don't honestly want to waste the effort, right? The raccoon as well, practicing integrity, kind of known as the dumpster diver, right? Like the going in there, not being afraid to make a mess, things like that. But maybe what you're getting into is you're kind of maybe discovering in that mess something that maybe you need to actually hang on to, right? Something that's worthwhile. It's like all that cleverness isn't for nothing, right? Some people be like, well, this is just how I was raised, or this is how my family is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, hasn't anybody else shown you some kindness, some wisdom, some love, where you can then reciprocate that to somebody else as well, right? You know, lizard regeneration. As a survivor, you are unparalleled. No matter what happens, you can adapt. Embrace your transformation. Put on your new cloak. You are a master of regeneration. Is it the salamander or the lizard? I mean, there's certain kinds of lizards when you like you cut off their tail, it looks like grows back, right? Same as like a starfish, right? Um, their their little arm will grow back, right? Eagle mastery. Shooting for the stars here today, folks. Congratulations. You are on a spiritual journey beyond the sky. So when you look up, you're looking at the sky and you think like, where are they going, right? Sometimes it's beyond a place that we can see. Sometimes our destination is beyond us. Um, and it's kind of designed that way, right? Because if we knew it was coming, we might be like, oh my God, no, hide me, right? Something like that. Let go of the past and soar. Yeah, don't be precluded by things that no longer suit you. You are guided by the winds of spirit. Your wisdom inspires the world. Hello there in the chat today. Hopefully you're having a good day. If you are in the chat, please do like the video or consider subscribing to the channel. It helps pass the messages around and helps grow the channel. I am going to do some moonology since we did have the new moon yesterday, day after Halloween. So hopefully you've been working on your manifestations for the new moon. Maybe, yeah, you're like, all this candy, oh my God, I need to eat better, so maybe you just need to like limit the amount of candy you have per day, right? And, but still do some other healthy things, right? Emotions are running high. Yeah, where I'm at, we have a major election coming up, and it's like in school time, and it was the weekend, Halloween, people running for their kids, you know what I mean? And now, they already have the Christmas stuff out. Like I was at PetSmart today with my dog, and it's right next to like, some of these other shopping centers where people do a lot of their Christmas shopping, and already I was like, oh my God, get me out of, I want to go home now. It's that kind of things at the surface, right? That, people are noticing, I think. It's not just a, insular experience out there. A personal issue reaches resolution. So if there is something that's been weighing on your mind, it is going to settle out, okay? It's going to be kind of contained, and, you're going to be able to protect yourself better. It's kind of like you're adding a layer of the onion here, okay? Believe in the impossible. So yeah, this regeneration, maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, without, maybe you don't have your wheels right now. You know what I mean? Something, I don't know, like, and you feel lost without it. It can come back. Believe in the impossible, okay? Especially if something has been taken from you, if something has been literally, removed from you. Maybe some of you have gotten like a tattoo removed, something of that nature, where it's like, or like a cover up done, where it's like, oh, well, I have something else now. You know what I mean? It's um, and here it says, no matter what happens, you can adjust. All right. So I feel like anytime you're put in these situations, you have balanced yourself out, where other people may have fallen or they have no idea what they would have done, right? Because they didn't have to go through that situation, you know? I just want to say that line, you can't handle the truth, right? When he's like, let me tell you. He tells on himself, but at the same time, he is speaking a truth, right? Like there was some adaptation there. It may not have been the best adaptation, but it was an adaptation, right? Um, Unfortunately, though, like in part of that movie, is because somebody doesn't survive, is why they have to, even be talking about it in the first place, right? But here it's saying you are a survivor. Okay, so maybe it was not the best situation. Maybe you didn't have control over everything, right? Maybe somebody kind of manipulated you or tried to, convince you or kind of set you up. Like, I was reading this story online and it was, about, some married folks doing things that some married folks do, but a lot don't, and the wife was like, yeah, then they were saying, well, this was all because of me. And I was like, no, I was doing this because of him. And you know what I mean? All this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah. So, maybe she thought she had a leg to stand on there with her partner, but at the end of the day, that didn't happen. Right. So, I would say good for her now. She's only 25 years old, found out what, a future like that would be like. Um, and saying, no, I don't need to have that in my life, right? That could be also part of why, emotions are running high. It's like things that we held dear to us or we put a kind of shine on. Um, you know, didn't turn out to be so shiny. A time for healing. Yeah. Let this be a time to, move on, move forward. Yeah. Scorpio season, working through your fears. So, anytime you get into that zone, especially of feeling like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like the squirrel here, it's like it doesn't matter what else happened, you're gonna grow back because like the squirrel, you're gonna be busy, 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 you know what I mean? Like you're like, okay, yeah, I have things to invent here, not just clean up messes or my own messes. I have things that are abundant here. They say like to focus on the things that you do well, right? Versus the things you don't do well. You focus on things you do well, those are more apt to multiply than things that you don't do well. Okay. Um, so once you start seeing that for yourself, you're going to see yourself kind of as this, like, just zoned in. One of my old jobs used to call me Eagle Eyes because I would catch things easily, yeah, for like proofreading and anyway, some of that technical stuff we don't need to get into, but yeah, it was like I could just, I just see it, right? um because at a certain point you become a master of your craft, okay? That doesn't mean that you want to work and burn yourself out, right? You became a master by um learning some of those hard lessons. And some of those lessons are that, yes, just because you can do something quickly doesn't mean that you have to. You know what I mean? Like, what may take somebody else, 5 days to figure out, the expert comes in and they're like, in 2 hours, they're diagnosed, the whole thing's fixed, done, blah, blah, blah. Right? Um, but what what needs to happen then? Okay, let yourself rest. Let yourself be compensated. Let yourself receive. Okay, that time of it being done, fixed, well. All right, let yourself enjoy it. Not somebody turning around and, okay, well then what's next? And it's like, well, number one, you didn't help this problem at all. So what are you worried about what I'm doing? Sometimes those interviewer, questions, and they say, well, what's next? Like they just won the Olympic medal, and they're like, well, what's next? And they're like, I'm gonna enjoy my Olympic medal that I literally just won 30 seconds ago. I'm gonna start, breathing back on a normal schedule. you know, my muscles might have a little lactic acid buildup the next few days. That's what's next, okay? Like any other race you run. Just because those other races, you may not have received that gold medal. You may have been in training for a very long time, okay? A very long time is, usually what it takes to achieve mastery, right? Um, and it's mastery from your viewpoint. Don't forget that. You can be like, well, there's somebody else that does this, blah blah. You know how many different authors there are in the world? Many of them are famous. I would consider almost, any published author is pretty much famous in my opinion, because that means somebody besides, the publisher probably knows your name. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be me, but and people are like, well, nobody's getting famous. Well, nobody's also getting out here alive, are we? So make it count, in a good way, right? Um, away from, those trickster ways, those things that don't get any return on the investment. Like, okay, you think it's fun to giggle at whoever or whatever, but then what? Like, yeah, go fish. If somebody's coming to you with this trickster energy, you may tell them to go fish. So there may be somebody that you're not really trusting around your abundance. That could be part of the personal issue that reaches resolution, especially if this is about like business partners, okay? And like here it says inventor. So if you are trying to like have a patent for something or something like that, like you're gonna be like, I don't know about sharing it with this person and this person because you know I've kind of seen them in action before and I'm good on it. Right? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no winner. Yeah, you may have been in a situation with somebody like this where there was no winner, because not only did they maybe cheat you, but then they end up cheating themselves because then you didn't want to work with them after that anyway. Right? Like, so again, this could be part of this personal issue where you're just like, where the crab here, it's like, yeah, you have the walls up, but they're up for a reason. Okay. It's like how many times you got to go back and yell at the kitchen staff before some food starts coming out, you know? Yeah, there might be not a lot of, cooks in town or whatever, but maybe there's somebody else that actually wants to work. I mean, just simple stuff, right? So, some of that could have been what was hindering you. It's like, um, I saw a commercial the other day when like the mom or dad comes home and the kids immediately go and like cling to them, right? Then what? It makes it harder for them to move, right? I feel like for some of you, you had some Klingons that were not helping you win. And in fact, they weren't winning either because they weren't learning nothing. This was coming through earlier too. Like, the type of when you just continually give to like a child no matter what their age is, like even as an adult, and it's like, well, what are you teaching them? You're not teaching them to ever do anything on of their own volition, of their own will. you know Chill mode, yeah, you could be kind of in this chill mode, this a time for healing. You could have not believed that this was possible to get away from that kind of clingy energy, but now you're feeling it, all right? And it's allowing you to heal. It's allowing you not only to heal, but to step into like what you are good at, all right? And part of that is being like this. You're like, yeah, bro, the last one that came at me, there was no winner in that situation. So you might want to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Again, just tell that person to go fish. Maybe they could use some fishing in their lives. Maybe it'll chill their goddamn ass out, right? Maybe it'll put them in chill mode. Too bad that one's already dead because I would have shoved him in that pond. Anyway. Well, like in a funny movie way. Not like for real. But, he's dead now anyway, so piss on it. Uh Not every fisherman's a good fisherman, that's all I gotta say. Yeah, some of them deserve lumps of coal. This also, yeah, you're now looking out for number one. It's like you're no longer playing Santa Claus to people who should have figured this out a long time ago. How to give for others, not just for getting for themselves. Okay? Yeah. Oh my. It's always so interesting when these messages come out like that. Yeah. And again, remember, you guys, my cheesy 80s movie that I love so much, Staying Alive. Look out for number one. It's one of the theme songs. Set your sights on the stars and the sun. Okay, John Travolta. John Travolta was just in the local news, by the way, because he visited some small restaurant somewhere in Illinois. It said rural Illinois, so I assumed it was in my area, but I don't know. It could be. It's a large state. Um, yeah, somebody online. I do that online dating thing occasionally, and somebody, I was asking them, like, because the name of their town like could have been like in another state, you know what I mean? So I was like, in Illinois, and they were like, yes. And I was like, where's that? And they're like, you don't, like, you're not familiar. It's like, actually I am. And you know what, I looked it up on the map, and I probably have even driven by there, but it's like so small. It's like, haha, yeah, blink and you miss it. So no, sir, I am not familiar. God bless the Casey's, and hey, they have actually decent pizza, but you know what I mean? It's like a Casey's type town, all right? And maybe there's another gas station somewhere, like an FS, all right? Like, don't come at me, bro, because I don't know where your podunk town is at. Anyway, like, he ain't that cute. Like, he was good looking, but you know what I mean? Like, some of them think they can get away with it. But, our circumstances are not always such that, you know, that's that old Rolling Stone song. Can't always get what you want. Mm-hmm. And for that reason is why often we let people go. Okay. Let's get these shuffled here and continuing. So this person may be facing a tower currently. And this tower may actually put them and you kind of into a chill mode because you're gonna like sense that they're not buzzing around you anymore. Okay, in terms of just wanting to benefit in some way from your abundance. And you're like, didn't we already do this and it didn't work out so good? Again, like for either of you. So it's like, why? Right? And this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partnership. This could be a business partnership as well. Yeah, Five of Swords. Yeah. What's that song? Smile in your face. Backstabbers, right? Mm-hmm. Don't worry, they will. You think it won't happen. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people be like, oh, well, I know they would never do me like that. Like, have you ever been a member of a family? You know what I mean? You ever see what happens sometimes in families? Yeah, sometimes that is exactly what happens. And if they're going to do their family like that, you don't think they'll do a non blood relative even worse? And if you're not even a relative, I mean, come on now. That's some of those folks, they'll be like, oh yeah, you're like family, you're like this, you're like that. It's like, yeah, I am very suspicious whenever anybody has ever talks like that around me, because I'm like, yeah, I know how some family can act towards each other. So you calling me fam or saying you're, right, you might be able to treat some members of your family fam that way, but you ain't gonna treat me that way. Please, go ask your mama for her credit card again. All right, because we all know that's how you got them kids' shoes. All right. Yeah, the hangman. You could be the person putting some of this money on hold as well, Pisces. Like, especially if you are in this kind of romantic relationship with them, you'd be like, you know what? I'm just not going to be that ATM for you at the moment. You're going to actually look out for number one. It's like, when's the last time anyone asked you if you had a meal, right? When's the last time anyone scoot over and let you sit down? When the last time anyone come pick you up or delivered anything to your house? Right? I'll wait, right? Is that what we're saying here with the hangman? I'll wait. Yeah. Silence is golden. Teaching some of us that golden lesson of golden rule, right? So, yeah. And it's one of those things too. It's like, what do you mean you don't have nothing nice to say after all the stuff that you asked me for and I provided for you? For some reason, now you're mad about that, right? See, this is why you can't enable people too much anyway at all anyway, because they'll get mad at you for even the stuff that because they don't know how to hang on to nothing. They'll piss it all away. You know what I mean? Like some of those lottery winners. 2 years later they ain't got no money. Okay. Some people think more money is gonna solve my problems. What Jay Z say? Mo money, mo problems. I think he's been in the news lately as well. Right? So yeah, with this new moon, you may be thinking, giving pause, I would say, to things that maybe normally you would be like, oh yeah, sure, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's my staff, that's my crew, that's my, right? And it's like, well, are they? Because personally, I don't think they got your back like that. Okay. So again, who's looking out for this guy, right? I remember my ex posted something like, "Oh yeah, you know the ones that you never think would do you like that, do you like that?" Well, he is the type who would do something like that, and he did do me like that, right? But he had to go out there and say, "Oh, I never thought she would, and she didn't." Well, no, I didn't do anything. I just kicked your ass out where it belongs, out in the fucking street, right? Because you don't come into my house, with a dirty dick, okay? When you're not paying a lick or rent here or nothing, right? Yeah, you're like call somebody else boo boo the fool because it ain't happening over here. And sometimes it's not that we don't know, it's just you're planning that escape, right? Maybe you've been saving up money in like cash. Maybe you have like a secret cash spot. Hopefully that this person can't find. Which, yeah, if you don't hide it, they will find it and they will spend it. Even if it's not their money, because they don't care. That happened too. It was actually the band's money. And I forced him to replenish almost all of it. It was crazy. It was horrible. It was just horrible. Like I was gone. I was not even in the country because I was working. Because I actually work for a living. I'm like this loser. They're the ones, they'll come in, they'll tell you all that stuff. Oh yeah, I got a job, I got this going for myself. And then pretty soon you start finding out. And it's like, why isn't it working? Yeah, because they're full of crap. That's why. Don't think too hard. Don't bust your brain over that dumb nut. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Don't bust your brain over somebody who can't figure out how to get to the cell phone store on their own, like on a bus route or walking, without using their mommy's or your card to pay it, right? Oh, I'll give you cash. I'll give you, you know what I mean? It's always a little scheme. Well, I'll get you on this. And no, why don't you just take care of it from A to Z on your own because you're supposed to be an adult, right? Again, shout out to the folks in the collective who actually are your own emperor. You know how to pay a fucking bill. Right? Aries energy as well. Yeah, and I feel like too, once you stop like letting this kind of help go, you're going to be feeling very strong in your position, and you're also going to be very like glowed up in it. Like, oh, yeah, I guess, I don't need to be acting like the bank of nice. They can actually go down to the bank. You know what I mean? If they need a loan, right? Versus coming to me when I actually need it to, fix my house or to pay my mortgage or to, you know what I mean? Don't just take somebody's good word for it that, oh yeah, I got you back, bro. That same dude, his own mother even told me one time, he'll never pay you back. I looked at her, I didn't say nothing, but it's like, yeah, I'm starting to notice that. Right? But when you're all enmeshing together, right? And it's like, oh, especially if they're living in your goddamn house, then you really have a fucking problem. Which I would just recommend calling the law to get them out of there myself. And tell them if they don't get out, you are calling the law, period. So, that's their choice. Get out with or without the law there. Okay. Somebody says, why nobody loves me. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it seems like that's what we're running up into, these liars, right? And sometimes it's because we've given people the benefit of the doubt. We've seen, and here's the thing too, collective, a lot of you collective are light workers yourselves. You are empathic people. You can see the good in others, right? But what sometimes we have to do is step aside and allow those others to actually show us that good, because that good sometimes never does come around, right? And it's best that we're out of the way when that happens, when the clock strikes 12, Okay, so all these little folks in their pumpkin villages can go scurrying about back where they came from, right? And figure out how they're going to clean up this garbage can. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah. And so I think then it's going to be like, then you're going to start feeling, once you start seeing them scurry because you're standing, because it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when the old man finally stands up, but then he's standing there and ain't nobody going to come across him. But now you done made me have to do it. Right? So, my sympathies if you are currently going through a heartbreak. Three of Wands, exploration. I feel like collective, part of this regeneration is going to be when you kind of step outside your comfort zone a little bit. Maybe go with a friend to like one of their social clubs or something. You know what I mean? Just for like a different experience. Sometimes those things you can just like kind of sit and listen. Like, you'd be like, oh, I want to go to some, poetry thing. And you'd be like, well, I don't get up there and read poetry, but you don't have to do. You can just sit and listen. You know what I mean? Get out and explore something that is going to actually regenerate you, right? When you step outside your door away from some of this chaos, because some of this chaos may literally be at your door, okay? Um, and that's why here it says believe in the impossible, especially if it feels like you've been in this stranglehold around it, okay? Where it's just been forcing you into these situations, but actually you do have some freedom here, okay? Sometimes time apart is what we need to clear our heads, right? And again, standing up then for what's important, right? And saying, well, my education is important, so that's something I'm working on, and or my career is important, so that's something I'm doing right now, or my spiritual and mental health is important, so I'm gonna be doing yoga right now, you know, things like that. Okay, helping us get into alignment so that we feel good about ourselves, right? Looking out for number one, right? We can't always expect others to look out for us here with this Five of Swords. Um, yeah, I feel like some of you are learning that. It's like, you know, it's like looking at the court jester to have all the answers. It's like, well, not exactly. Not exactly. Strength card, Leo. Um, yeah, you may want to discuss this with somebody, discuss how you're feeling. You could come off as strong as well, especially with this Emperor type energy. Oh my God, you guys, look at that 10 of Cups. Maybe this is why you feel so strong about it, is because you see a vision. This is the kind of vision you see together where, yeah, that's your chill mode, right? You're like, yeah, I'm about that. I like that. Let's do it. And that's going to help you on this healing journey, right? Sharing that vision, standing in your strength. Wow, the Lover's on the bottom here. All right, guys, let's see what else we got. I'm liking how this is turning out here. I hope you do get your job in November. Six of Cups, reunification. So yeah, you started here with the Five of Swords, you're ending with the Six of Cups. So I think that what's happened here, cutting out these connections where, you thought your emotions were going to be going, right? You're reaching like a level of safety now. Okay. And that's letting you stand a lot taller, right? Um, to other people, it may look like an indecision, but in fact, it's like, didn't you see there's lava over there? I'm going to step out of the way because that is smart. All right. Like I told somebody one time, there's a difference between scared and stupid because he was like, "What are you scared?" I was like, there's a difference between scared and stupid, you know? And I would be stupid to stick my foot in lava, right? you know? Um, and by doing that, you're coming back to the place of home, right? Coming into a vision of happiness, right? Fulfillment. This is emotional fulfillment as well. So, if you are in like a partnership, yes, somebody's able to support the family here, or, you know what I mean? Like grow that abundance in that way. Okay. Let's get some romance angels, just as there are a few comments in the chat I think will help that. Overall, I feel like this reading is very strong. There's Pisces, Aries, Leo here, okay? In terms of signs, if some of you do have some wanderlust, don't be afraid of that. I think it's actually going to feed your partnership that you see as attainable, all right? Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. I like what I was saying earlier as well. This could be even like a working type relationship, but obviously this shows a couple here. So, also once you know the truth of the situation, you're like, oh, well, I guess that explains it. So, maybe you and so are able to do this, right? Maybe somebody wanted you to work for their family's business and you just weren't comfortable doing it, and maybe it didn't work out. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that you and them can't be together, right? Is that a condition of you being together, right? So think about that. If it is around some kind of employment issue, stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. So this abundance here that we saw earlier, right? Focusing on what can grow. People here in the chat talking about, I want to have better finances. I want to have a better career. I want to have a better love option, right? Focusing on those types of things, yes. And what are some of the steps that you can do to help achieve that, right? Here she's kind of like offering this, garland of flowers, right? Maybe you're somebody that likes fresh flowers. Maybe you like being out in a garden. Make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. So again, we had believe in the impossible. So if some of you are in separation, or if you are not in that partnership, it says here, make the effort, you know, yeah, maybe that's kind of what you need in your life to, regenerate a little bit. Social activity is not just mano a mano, however, it can lead to that, right? But you wouldn't know unless you made that effort, right? Pay attention to the red flags. The signs are cautioning you. Yeah. So as you heal, as you move forward, it's like you're not doing it without caution. Okay. Um, you're like, yeah, I am still eagle eyes. I don't have to pay attention so hard, but I will because I'm not, a dum dum, right? Um, and there could have been people around you that really thought that that's kind of what you deserved in some way. And what they're finding is that they have a lump of coal on their wish list. You know what I mean? And that's in terms of, they just need to keep the heat on, right? Like start with the basics. Okay. Wow. Well, that was crazy. Um, let's see. Let's get a couple light worker cards for you guys because I do feel some light worker energy coming through on this reading as well. So just remember, people can only meet you, where they're at. So, you can't run the marathon for them, right? They have to be willing to take a step. They have to be willing to put on the gear. They have to be willing to go to training. They have to be willing to eat right. They have to be willing to focus. They have to, right? There's a lot of things, where it's almost like you are coaching each other, right? Not, doing for each other. That's when the enabling occurs. Okay. That's part of why these emotions are high, I feel like, as well. Because some folks, they're like, well, I did make that effort. I put in a lot of effort. Okay. But there's more than one person here, right? It's not all just, fantasy. Council of Light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. Okay, so as soon as I say fantasy and I say here, now we have helpers in the subtle realms. These may be signs from your ancestors, from your guides, even potentially from the person that you want to make effort towards. Okay. I feel like for some of you, there are definitely some messages that are coming through that are hopeful. All right. Messages of optimism. Okay. And I think that as long as you stay on this guidance here, turning towards the light and not the darkness of the situation. Okay. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity because, some people lie to us, some people cheat us. That doesn't mean we need to be back with them. No. Lesson learned, move on, right? Um, and then it's kind of like, like somebody might say, oh, well, when I saw such and such, I just had this feeling, this knowing, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's like that knowing comes from a place beyond us. All right. So if you're not used to something like that, just be aware of it. Okay. And you know, if it's not, and also if it's not your emotion necessarily in the situation, it could be because something else is trying to get you to tap in, all right, to another perspective, all right? Mirror, who or what is triggering you? Yeah. So, you know, if this person and you are like on opposite sides of the river, you know, on opposite sides of the pond, right? And it's like, well, I'm walking towards the edge, but are they? Right? Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Um, I feel like a lot of us, especially those that are desiring partnerships, okay, you think about leading together. You know what I mean? Walking together. Sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes somebody else is pulling that weight, right? Just make sure it's at least your own weight, you know? You know, the person that's going through and chopping down the forest first, right? It's leaving that path that's easier for the others behind. Okay. Get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. If you are struggling at all, definitely grounding energy can help. Grounding meaning, you know, connecting with natural fibers, natural objects, dirt, sand, wood, going outside without your shoes on, you know what I mean? Obviously if the weather is conducive to that. And finally we have no. So again, the folks that are coming towards you, right, with offers of, oh, you look like you could be a good candidate, you're like, no, pick somebody else. Pick somebody else. You know, yeah, that can be part of your healing as well, where you don't want to jump into anything. And especially if it does feel like a red flag. You know, if they're disrupting your chill mode, right? And it's always like there's just always some kind of weirdness, right? Where you're just going to have, you feel like you're just going to have to make all these strange accommodations for this person, right? Um, Again, that's a good time to just say it's all right to say no. Okay. All right. I think that is all I have today for you guys. So please do enjoy this reading. Go back to the beginning if you missed any of the previous messages. And until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.